In this video, we're going to discuss the clipboard command. Let's go ahead and first go into Macro Express. Once here, I'm going to right-click on anywhere in the blank area and make a new macro, or you can use an existing macro if you like. Then we need to choose the default activation. In this option, I'm going to hit No Activation and click Scripting Editor. First, we're going to talk about a tool in Macro Express that allows you to change the setting of the global delay for the clipboard. Let's go ahead and go to Options and Preferences. Under Delays, you'll notice the first line says delay in milliseconds after clipboard commands. This allows you to delay how long it takes for the clipboard commands to appear. 250 milliseconds is 1/4 of a second. Let's go ahead and leave that the default and press OK. As far as the commands for clipboard, if you go to the left window pane that says Commands and go into the clipboard location, we have quite a few different options here. Our first option is Clipboard Append Text. And what this will do is this will append the clipboard text to the end of a text file. Say that you have a sentence that says, "Hello there, how are you?" and that is copied to the clipboard. Well, with this command, it allows you to paste that information to the end of the text file that you specify. And we'll do an example of this in just a few minutes. Let's cover a couple of other commands first. Next, we have our clipboard copy. And when you double click on this, you'll notice that there's no dialog that comes up. It simply inserts the clipboard copy command into the macro script. Now, the clipboard copy is the same as pressing Control-C on your keyboard or typing in the text type. If you went down to text and you said text type and use the Control button and C. These two functions do the exact same thing. However, clipboard copy just makes it a little bit easier to read your macro script, as well as saving you some time because you don't have to specify that Control-C. Let's go ahead and delete this Control-C and go back up our list into clipboard. Our next option is the clipboard cut, which is similar to clipboard copy, except for this cuts the text out of one location and moves it to a different location in which we specify. So, for example, let's go ahead and open Notepad by clicking Start, Programs, Accessories, and going into Notepad. If I type in "Hello, how are you?" and I copy this with using the key shortcut Control-C or clicking Edit Copy, and then I make a new line by pressing Enter and pressing Control-V for paste, or also we could use Edit Paste, you'll notice that it copied my first line of text. Well, cutting does something similar, but in regards to taking the text out of where you originally had it located at. So if we take our first line here and we press Control-X for cut, you'll notice that the line disappears. If I press Control-V again, you'll notice that it pastes the text back. An analogy of the clipboard command is, say, scissors for the clipboard cut and clipboard paste. If you cut out a piece of paper, you would then have one copy of that piece of paper area that you cut out of to put anywhere else that you want, or to paste anywhere else you want. Let's go ahead and minimize Notepad now and return back to our commands. So the clipboard cut, if we double click on this, you'll notice that it also just adds the line into our macro script because there isn't any other choices for this command. I'm going to go ahead and delete these out. First, I'm going to select the first one by left clicking on it and clicking Edit Delete. The other way is by pressing the Delete key on your keyboard, which will save you quite a bit of time as you work with Windows. Now, Macro Express does allow you to also cut and copy lines of code and multiple lines of code. This is beneficial because if you have 10 lines of code and you need to move them up to a different location in the macro script, you can cut those lines of code out, move all the way back up to the top of the macro, say, and paste those in. Our next command is the clipboard empty, and this is similar to emptying the recycle bin on your computer. It just flat out cleans the clipboard with all the information. So why would you want to have this? Well, let's say that you were creating a macro that could grab a password, and you don't want that password to stay in the clipboard after the macro is ran. Well, that's why you would use the clipboard empty. Our next command is clipboard end copy and clipboard start copy, which also goes with the end copy. First, we must have a clipboard start copy. What this is going to do is, in our macro script, it's going to say, okay, anything that lies within this location between the start copy and the end copy will be copied to the clipboard. So for example, we'd have a clipboard start copy, and let's say we use a text and text type, and then we use, say, Control C. We need to move this up using Control and the up key. And you'll notice that Control C lies between the start copy and the end copy. What that's going to do is it's going to copy any of the macro script language that falls between those two clipboard commands. Now, if you really wanted to see this in detail, what you need to do is you would need to activate Notepad and paste it in there so that we can see the results. So let's find Windows Programs and Activate or Launch for Activate or Launch program. Our next command is the clipboard file copy. Let's go ahead and double click on this. This allows us to specify a text file path and pull the information out of that text file and put it into our clipboard. Now this is useful for if we have a large amount of text that dynamically changes, say in an ini file, that we need to copy out every time that we run this macro or something to that extent. This can be accomplished using this command. And by clicking on these three dots, it'll allow us to select where the program's located that we want to launch. Notepad's located in the Windows folder or Windows NT folder, depending on the operating system you're running, and Notepad should be located directly under this Windows folder. Next, we have a few other options. How do we want to run this? Normal, minimize, maximize, or hidden. We'll stick with normal, and we don't have any program parameters for this example. Let's go ahead and press OK. Next, we need to use a delay so that Windows can open up the Notepad before trying to paste the text in our clipboard. So what we need to do is go into our timing commands, and there's two ways to do this. We could either use a delay if we wanted to just kind of guess or estimate on the amount of time that's going to take for Notepad to open, or we can use the command wait for window title. Let's go ahead and double click on this and type in Notepad for our window title. Let's go ahead and press OK. Our next step is when we open Notepad and we wait for the window title, what's going to happen when it opens Notepad? What's going to be our final step? Well, we need to paste that text into the Notepad. Now there's two ways to do this. We can either use text type, and use the Control V button for Control Paste, or let's go ahead and press Cancel. Or we can go up to the Clipboard command folder and select Clipboard Paste. Now it's much easier to read a macro script when it contains clipboard start copy, clipboard end copy, clipboard paste, because it also has a certain icon that it uses for the macro script. Whereas if you were using a text type, it wouldn't look as nice or complete because you might not be able to tell as easily where those clipboard commands are. So now if we go ahead and press play, you'll notice that it took a few seconds there. First it copied any of the macro script that lied between the start copy and end copy. Then it activated or launched untitled Notepad or notepad.exe, this referring to the window title or notepad.exe if it cannot locate the window title, and then wait for window title Notepad. Once it did that, wherever the cursor ended up, which was at the end, it then pasted what was between the start copy and the end copy using the clipboard paste. And I strongly recommend that you give this example a try so that you can see how these commands work together to create a macro script. Let's go ahead and minimize this again. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything that's in our macro script. So by selecting the last line of code, holding down the Shift key on my keyboard, and then left-clicking on the first line of code, it will select all the lines of code. Then I can press the Delete key on my keyboard or go to Edit, Delete. Our next command is the clipboard file copy. Let's go ahead and double-click on that. The clipboard file copy command allows us to copy a text file to the clipboard. So we'd specify a text file here, and then it would take all the information out of that text file and put it into the clipboard for us to use in our macro. Now the reason why you might want to use this is if you have a text file that changes constantly on a daily basis, say it has a report or something like that for your company, you can get that information out of there using this command. Let's go ahead and press cancel and go to our next command, which happens to be clipboard graphic copy. Let's go ahead and double click here. What the graphic file allows us to do is select a graphic that is from our computer to copy to the clipboard for, say, if we were in a word publishing program or Microsoft Publisher or something to that extent that allows us to go and use graphics and paste them into the program, we would use this command, copy graphic file to clipboard. And if you want to see all the different file types that it supports, click the Browse button, and you'll get a list down here, graphic files, .bmp, .jpeg, .wmf, or .emf. Let's go ahead and press cancel, and press cancel again. Our next command is the clipboard paste. This allows us to take text from our clipboard and paste it into an application of our choice, which is what we did earlier in this exercise with the Notepad. Our next command is clipboard save graphic. What this will do is that this will save the graphic to the clipboard for the remainder of the macro script. And if you want more information on this, please refer back to the book. The clipboard save text will allow us to take text from our clipboard and save it to a text file. So instead of pulling the text out of a file, it will paste it into a file. Our next command is the clipboard start copy, which we have already discussed. Then we have the clipboard type text. The next command, type out text from the clipboard, means that it will simulate what the keyboard does as far as typing in the text of the computer. This will take whatever you have in the clipboard and typing it into the application how you would type it in with the keyboard. Our next command is the end if command, which is covered more in the logic section of the book, and we're not going to go over this in much detail in this video. However, a quick summary of the end if statement is if you use an if statement, you must close the end if statement. So if we say, if the clipboard text equals hello, how are you? So when I do a control copy, if that text in that clipboard equals hello, how are you, do the following commands. So let's say we add a dialog, a text box display, for example, that says I am doing fine. Let's go ahead and press OK. And to end a statement, especially using the if command statement, we need to go back into Clipboard and use the end if logic. This simply tells this if clipboard text equals hello, how are you, do the following command, and then end that if statement. And in order for macros to run correctly, you need to make sure that you use these end if statements. If you don't have them, you'll get an error. Let's go ahead and delete this end if and run this macro to show you what I mean. You notice that it says there is no matching end if statement for the initial if statement. The macro will be aborted. So make sure that you have these end if statements anytime that you add an if statement. And this concludes the training video for the clipboard. Thanks for watching.